Hello friends. Today I want to talk to you about the billionaires. Did you know that since 1990, the richest 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, the 1/10 of 1% have stolen our nation's wealth from us? I want you to look at this chart. I'm going to put it up here somewhere on the screen, maybe up here in the corner. I want you to look at this chart. There's a dark red line on this chart. This line should be flat. This is how much wealth they have stolen from us in the last 30 years. They took everything for themselves and they left us with nothing. Can you see on the bottom of this chart here, there are these two lines. They're pink and they're bright green. You can barely see them. That is the bottom 90% of Americans. Over 120 million households that have been left behind. Who should own America? Because right now, the answer to that question is about 1,200 people. The richest 17 of them have as much wealth as the bottom 170 million people combined. Elon Musk himself, one man, has more wealth than the bottom 53% of all Americans combined together. That means he has more power than the bottom half of America combined. Remember, money is power, especially now with Citizens United. Do you think that this level of individual power is what the framers intended when they formed this country? This concentration of wealth and power in the hands of these very few people is dangerous to individual liberty, to our public safety, and to the public good. It is the root of all evil. You cannot serve God and wealth. And let me be clear. These same people, if forced to make the choice between giving up their money and sending people to war to help them get more money, they will choose to send your daughters and your sons to war against each other if they think that they will profit from it. That is who they are. Keep in mind that this has all happened in the last 30 years. There is no tradition here. It is not historically an American thing to allow this kind of wealth inequality. We made this change in our generation, in the millennial generation. We can unmake this change in our generation. We do not have to accept it. We must rebalance the distribution of wealth and power to all Americans. I have a plan that does exactly that. I call it the mother of all stat squishes, or if you prefer, MOAS for short. Yeah, I'm bringing it back. So in video games, when a player reaches a maximum level, they stop leveling. You hit a level cap. But in the real world, we don't restrict achievements like this. We allow you to continue to concentrate wealth and power to obscene and aberrant levels that rival the richest, most powerful kings in history. To combat power inflation in video games, designers regularly implement changes to mechanics in order to squish down the stats that high-level players have so that you can make room for new content and new abilities. In online competitive games, this is often referred to as a stat squish. Think of any video game or tabletop game that you've played. As you advance, it gets harder and harder to level up, doesn't it? There's always some element in the game that taxes your progress the further along you get. If you played any game where this wasn't the case, where you had a small number of quote-unquote god-tier players that just bodied everybody, you would call that game broken, you would uninstall it, and you would ask for a refund from Steam. So why do we continue to play this broken game in real life? It's time that we rebalance the mechanics. It's time to implement MOAS. So is the mother of all stat squishes. A 6.5% wealth tax on the richest 1/10 of 1%. I want to tax the demonic billionaire class out of existence. And I want to redistribute all of that wealth to the bottom 90% of Americans. Make no mistake, this redistribution of wealth will be the largest wealth transfer in history. My plan taxes the net worth of the richest 1% and redistributes it to the rest of us. Under my plan, your household will get a large weekly payment. And by large, I do mean very large compared to what most Americans are used to. And this is the case if you are on the bottom 90%. Over the next 16 years, my plan provides for universal basic income for the bottom 90% of Americans. It provides for funding for Medicare for all to the tune of $8.5 trillion. It provides funding for community social programs to the tune of $5.7 trillion. It passes $28 trillion of wealth from the billionaires to the bottom 50% of this country, and it transfers $14 trillion of wealth to the middle 40% of this country. If your household is worth less than $1 million, your household will gain $250,000 over the next 16 years under my plan. If your household is worth less than $63,000, which is the bottom 50%, you will gain $420,000 over the next 16 years under my plan. This is what happens to your wealth over the next 16 years of my plan. If you are in the bottom 90% of Americans, you will get a check every single week. Every single week. How much? This part is hard to believe, but it's absolutely true. This is how much, let me remind you, this is how much they have stolen from you and your family already. Under my plan, if your household's net worth is in the bottom 50%, if you're below $63,000 of household net worth, you will get a $1,000 check every single week for the first 2.5 years. That covers half of America, and over time, these payments will fall because we can't continue to tax them forever. Once we tax them out of existence, they're gone. But it will not fall below $250, even after 16 years. If your household net worth is below $1 million, but above the $63,000, you will get a $500 check every single week for the first 2 years. And after 16 years, this will fall to just under $200 a week. What would you do with $500 more each week? Would you worry about childcare as much? What about your health? Would you buy nice organic food for your family? Would you start a business, open up a coffee shop, provide a play space for kids in your neighborhood? Would you paint more, write more, work on that next level rap album? What would you do with an extra $500 every week? Here's how this works. My plan sets a tax rate which must be paid each fiscal quarter depending on the difference between a household's net worth and the median net worth of the lower percentile tranche below it. My plan only taxes the top 10% of Americans, and most of that tax is directed to the top 1% of Americans. The formula for my wealth tax is very simple. The amount of tax owed is equal to the net worth of the person minus the prescribed tax floor for their tranche times the effective tax rate. This is a very common style of tax formula, and it works in a lot of contexts, and it works here. The effective tax rate and the tax floor that you would use to calculate what amount of tax you owe depends on what percentile tranche you fit into. So are you the 0.01%? Are you the 0.9%? Are you the top 9%? Because that first one was a whole 1%, right? Are you in the top 10%? Are you in the middle 40? Are you in the bottom 50, right? Those are the tranches. So we look at what tranche you're in and we say, oh, since you're in this tranche and you have this amount of wealth compared to your peers, you owe this tax. And then we'll redistribute it down. And then, of course, what will happen is people will spend that money and it will start to float back up, right? So this is what I mean when I talk about convection. Each year, the percentile tranches for each of these household net worths can be recalculated based on the reported net worths that we see in the IRS from the year prior. That's it. That's the system. This is all that is required to make this work. And since the formula is based on the percentile tranches for household net worth, the distribution of wealth among American households is going to squish down. It's going to decentralize and rebalance itself fairly in equally distributed amounts over time. And this is a thing that will happen over 16 years, right? The first jump is pretty big, and then we can see progress, and we'll see it pay off very quickly. But it's 16 years of sustained universal basic income. All we have to do is take it from the billionaires. That's all that we have to do. After 16 years, these levers can be adjusted by Congress to control for the wealth distribution among American households, simply by controlling this tax rate, right? And so you analyze how much money have you made, what tranche do you fit in, how separated out are these tranches, and then if we see a tranche starting to pull away, you tax it back down. You don't overtax it, you make it so that people can continue to make money and continue to grow, but we balance out that distribution, and then we all kind of grow together. And we will see, I guarantee you, we will see our economy ignite white hot if we do this. White hot. Which is good. With this one change, we can transform America. We will drastically lower taxes for the bottom 90% of Americans. We will be making a significant radical step towards universal basic income. We will allow the engines of capitalism to take over and reignite. People are going to use the money that they get to purchase the things that they need, whether that's childcare or healthcare or a new Corvette. Who am I to judge? The billionaires got 2 or 3 super yachts. You want to buy a Corvette? Go buy a Corvette. I don't care. Okay? If they can have fun with their money, why can't you? We all deserve to earn from what we've done over the last 30 years. It doesn't make sense just to let a few people hoard this, right? We're all entitled to our share. The market will then work to adapt and to accommodate the needs of different people. This is a capitalist approach to this major social problem, and it is proven in a model that we see in video games when we look at economic systems in video games, right? We know it works. We have dozens and dozens, hundreds of economic simulations that people play for fun. This thing will work, okay? It will work, and it's fair. And even at the end of this, even after we tax the billionaires out of existence, even after we rebalance the tranches, because of the way the math works, they will still be the richest people in America. They still get to be the richest people in America under my plan, but we also all get to enjoy the spoils of the productivity that we've gained over the last 30 years. And with AI, so many people are going to have to reskill. So many people are already looking for work. UBI needs to happen today, and this is the way we can make it work. We will end childhood poverty nationwide within the first year. No child will ever go hungry under this plan. Everyone will have money for food. We will end the unhoused people's crisis. No unhoused person will go without shelter unless they are camping for the fun and freedom of it. Everyone will have money for a roof over their head. This plan will fund about a quarter of what is required for Medicare for all. But given the direct distributions that you would receive, would you still need that health insurance? Or could you pay for some of those services out of pocket? I bet you could probably buy your own health insurance with one of the 4 checks you get each month. I bet you can make that work. This plan will fund a variety of community third spaces, after-school programs, social clubs, and we are absolutely going to use the money to rebuild the unions. We need to bring the unions back. We are not a free people as long as we are owned. America cannot be owned. America belongs to the 99%. My name is Raymond. I am a Quaker, a Christian, a Buddhist, and a follower of the way of Hermes, and I come as a sword. Follow me, and let's go take back what's ours. God bless. To good spirit and good fortune. Take care.